Hey guys, welcome back to the Greenback Castle. Now, we'll be doing a little quick little episode here. It ain't going to be a long one. I got my meter out. And I did get some pretty awesome hits coming in here, and it was nice, and Linda was blowing it up. Linda! All I had to do is say the name Linda, and she TikToks. Linda is the star of the show. I'll just go ahead and let you know now. I'm just here telling the story, but Linda is the star of the show. She's the premier spirit at the castle. She's the strongest. She's a gray spirit, and she's stout. She's ripped my microphones off my head twice, and she is stout. I mean, I didn't have to do anything. She wants us to talk about her, but I can't do every single episode about Linda. I just can't do it. I've had to do the Fentanyl Ghost, and the Fentanyl Ghost was another spirit that's here, and I really enjoyed that, but then Linda did not like it. She did not like the attention being pulled off of her, and this area right here, oh yeah, it's lit at night. It is by far one of the most active here. So, as you can see, Linda's already made her presence felt. She is the star of my show. She is the #1 star. It is most definitely my great spirit Linda, who's my stepmom. And there's all kinds of stories about people having Linda. She's definitely, you either loved her or you didn't like her. And most people didn't like her, but I will say, without a doubt, during life and even during death, she was a very entertaining lady, and always treated me good. I will say that. Linda always treated me good. Why she chose to stay in this place, I'll never know. She did get pulled up here. She did own a house down the road, and they did that sister game, and then pulled her up here. She likes to talk about it. She knows she likes to talk about it. So, but Linda's thinking about you today. So I'm going to go on. I'm going to tell a story about my friend Dustin from my previous work, if that's okay with you. And I hope it is. I promise you, I'm going to come in and I will do some more stuff with you when I get a guest. I need to have a guest come in. But today I'm just going to throw a story together with one of my former co-workers that committed suicide at a rest stop. So, anyway, you can see how this place just gets lit up. I mean, I'm just turning it off. I'm gonna come in here and I'm going nowhere now. And we're gonna just pretty much stay in Linda's side of the building now. All right, guys. Let me put this back on here. All right. Dimmed it down a little bit in here. But I guess I could have my box on just for in case we get to hit something else in here, because I have to pretty much stay where the light is today. All right, guys, we're going to talk about rest stops. And rest stops, the phenomenon of rest stops, where people have been going to these rest stops for about, I'll say the last, I'm going to guess 70 years to 50 years, and committing suicide in these rest stops. It's kind of like an ongoing thing. The one there in Baltimore, I know I stopped there and I was doing an episode and I was going to film there and do it, but I got thinking on it, I was like, why not go to the castle and compare the two? I did one there, and it's so dark, and so I thought, I'm gonna also come over here to the castle and compare the two, see which one is better. And then, Linda made it already better. She's like lighting my ass up, and we gonna tell it right here on the rip. That's not the exact great place for this light here in my way, but I will find different spots and try different things, anything to try to entertain you guys. I was hoping to get
a nice one right there, but that light's just kind of in a bad spot right there. It's a little bit more dimmed down right here. It gives you that nice eerie feeling. This is Linda's side of the building. Anyway, so I'm gonna tell you the story about Dustin. Trying to find a good spot to put my phone and tell you this story. All right, now Dustin. I worked with Dustin for maybe 5 to 6 years up at Hurst Tooling and Engineering. Now I worked in the metal stamping part of the building, and I had Jerry Hurst was my boss. He's also the owner of the factory. He's also, now I will tell you my own personal stories about through here too. And I will tell you about Jerry. Jerry was a big drinker. Now you can't tell the boss he don't need to be drinking at work because it don't matter. He's gonna do whatever he wants to. He owns this factory. It's his business. It's his life. And he was a pretty good boss, to be honest, even though he would longer he'd be drinking. Now I was probably by far I was still trying to make it in professional wrestling, so I was in tip-top shape. And I'll throw in some Jerry Hurst stories too while I'm at this because he's a very entertaining guy. All right, I'll throw this little story in because Jerry's been at work all day. He would work from daylight. He would come in at 7 o'clock, and I worked second shift. And Jerry would probably be done 9 o'clock at the night. That's how much Jerry worked. Jerry was a workaholic, and he was a damn good running the business. He's definitely a business guy. But this particular day, he always had that alcohol. And that alcohol, the more he drank, the more his character would be out there. So, God, this is going to be a harder one to tell. So, I'm at work. I was stamping up parts for Frigidaire. And they made this, whatever, these little things I stamped. And I run this little hand press where you just hit the buttons, and it was a 150-ton press. It comes down, snaps it, and makes the part, and take the part out, squirt it with oil, and rinse, cycle, and repeat all day long. Not the most fun job in the world, but it did get the job done. So anyway, so I guess the truck was coming in, and Jerry was waiting on that truck before he could leave. And somehow, Jerry just brought it out. This was I'm just going to use the word ethnic. I'm not even going to say any other thing because I don't want any kind of drama. Anyway, this was an ethnic driver. And we'll say he was a Jew. And Jerry was pissed because he couldn't leave because he was waiting for that truck to get there. And so he just ripped into this guy. He's like, every Jew racism thing you can think of, Jerry let him have it on it. You name it, Jerry told him straight up about whatever his Jew asked, and that was just how Jerry was. All right, this guy just gets on he's on the phone with him. He's like, I tell you what, when I get there, I can promise you one thing, Jerry. I'm going to beat your ass. That's the first thing I'm going to do when I get there. I'm going to get out of my truck, and I'm going to find you, and I'm going to beat your ass. Hey, Linda. Not about you once again, so just, calm down. We're just trying to tell a story here. So, this is Linda's spot of the building, so she will definitely jump in there with us sometimes. So, I won't turn it off, Linda, but I mean, it makes for a pretty good phone, to be honest. So, he said, when I get there, Jerry, I'm going to beat your ass. Now, Jerry was an older guy, so he wasn't very, he was smart enough to come and get me. And he pretty much walks right up to me. He's like, James, I pissed this guy off. He's gonna kick my ass. And I want you to come over here. I pretty much become Jerry's bodyguard. So he wanted me to pretend to be his bodyguard, basically, because I'm working in Frank. I'm a big jacked up guy anyway. And so I'm like, okay. And Jerry's like, I'll tell you what, I'll make sure your paycheck has an extra $300 on it if you make sure this guy does not attack me. He says, this guy attacks me, you take him down. And I'll make sure any kind of fines, any kind of lawyer fees, anything like that are took care of. You won't have to worry about any of that stuff. Do not let this guy kick my ass. So I wish I could be making this story up, but it's not. This is a legit story. So the guy gets there, and I'm just going to say this. This guy was not a Jew, but he's definitely ethnic, and he's at least 6'5", and I'm worried that I might not be able to take this guy because I'm like, this ain't gonna be easy if this guy goes. But I do have wrestling, so when I see a big, long 6'6" guy with giant long arms and big fist, well, the thing about fist is the bigger your fist, the better fire you are because area of effect. Long arms means you're going to be able to hit further. So if it's a fist fight, I'm losing that battle. You know, if I'm smart enough to know that, my thing was grappling. I'm like, I can get under this 6'5" guy, no problem, and get him down to the ground. I'm going straight in for wrestling and just tying him up. That was my game plan. But, you know, I had the long hair and I had in really good shape. And I always dressed to look like I was in shape because I always wore the cut off spandex where I was in good shape, and I definitely dressed like I was in good shape. And this guy gets out of the truck. He's walking up. He sees Jerry, and he's like, looks over at me. He looks at Jerry. Looks over at me. Again, looks at Jerry. He said, well, I was going to kick your ass, but I'm not sure I can take this guy, so I'm not going to. And I was like, thank you, God, because I wasn't for sure I could take that guy, because you could judge somebody pretty good just by looking at them. And if you know enough, the one thing you do not have to worry about is somebody that's loud. Some guy that's loud and bragging about how bad he is, that's the least guy you have to worry about. They're running their mouth for a reason, because they can't fight. I'm looking at this guy and I'm seeing the things that's going to cause me problems. And that's the giant fist. I know he's going to be able to have a huge area of punching, and he's got really long arms. So I know I cannot win a fist fight. But I do believe I could take him down and tie him up in wrestling. I know that for a fact. But Jerry has just pretty much got me in all this shit. And so anyway, nothing happened. The guy just went on, and I just stayed there with Jerry and followed Jerry around everywhere he went to keep from this guy kicking Jerry's ass. That's a true story that actually happened. So I'm just giving you an idea of how this place worked. And it was definitely different. I've also had situations where I would be running a machine and Jerry would be coming in and he would be just pissed off because he's been drinking all day, and he would be like, say something, you gotta be the stupidest sumbitch I ever seen. And then I would get pissed and I would just be like, I wouldn't never do nothing, because I got my family to take care of. I'm taking care of my family. That's more important than any kind of ego. So, but I will say Jerry would feel bad about that. He would give me $1 raise the next day. So by the time I did all this stuff for him, like protecting him, and I would like literally be his bodyguard for this certain little events going on, that stuff that he calls himself. And every time he gave me more money. And when I did get laid off from there, I was making really good money back then. I was, this is being 2010. I was making about $22 an hour in 2010. So keep that in mind. Every time Jerry would take care of you. If you was making him money, he would make you money. So I will say that about him. He definitely was not afraid to share the money, but you put you in bad predicaments like that. All right. So this story is going to be about. I'm just giving you an idea of how this place works, and the guy that this story is about, his name's Dustin. Now Dustin is a 6'5", happy-go-lucky, one of the most happy-go-lucky guys you're ever going to meet in your life is Dustin, because Dustin is like always in a good mood. And as soon as Dustin gets there, the guys will rip into him every single morning. You got Philip. Now Philip, he's a pretty good dude, and Philip was always a little bit more about Philip though. He didn't really care about anybody else. Philip cared about Philip, and that was it. Nothing wrong with that. Took care of his family. I'm not judging him on any of that. He took care of his family, like I said. But he's a little bit of only Philip matters. Nobody else matters. Now Wayne was from Tellico. Wayne was their very country, high-pitched voice. Wayne was top tier guy. He was not only he was a stand-up guy, and if you was ever in a situation you could trust Wayne. He was a good dude. You had Jeff was a redheaded guy from Harlan, Kentucky, and would be one of my great friends in life. And you had Bill did maintenance, and you had John who did maintenance. John was like a kind of loud, cocky kind of guy, but very entertaining. John is a very entertaining guy. I would say of all of us, John was the most charismatic by far. I'm more of a quiet guy, and all I wanted to do really was work out, and people would see me over there talking all the time, and they would be like, is he talking to himself? I wasn't talking to myself, but what I would do is I'd practice my promos, my wrestling promos. So I might be over here running my machine and talking like, you know what, this Sunday night, when I get a hold of you, I'm beating your ass, and it's going to be on like neck bone, sucker. So I'm just sitting over here talking to myself, practicing promos, because that's what you do. I mean, all day long, I'm practicing my promos. So I'm a character in my own self, I guess. And I'm constantly always trying to exercise while I'm working, while I'm running my machine. I'm over there doing my little squats. I'm always trying to get a workout in too. So I'm a character too. So I'm right up there with Philip, who's all about Philip, and Wayne's, who's high-pitched country voice, John, Bill. I forgot about Larry. Larry was a chain smoker, one right after another. What I remember about Larry is his stories about truck driving. He's a former truck driver, and the fact that he would smoke a cigarette. As soon as he finished one cigarette, it was another one, all day long. And there, they didn't have a lot of rules to go by. Larry would be back there smoking while he's running his machine. It wasn't nothing like. I mean, our freaking boss who runs the place is an alcoholic, walking around with an alcohol cup all day long, all day and all night. So, rules? What rules? Anyway, but Jerry would always tell you, you do this, you'll get fired. He had things you do not do, and he'd keep you to that. And I will say that working for Jerry, I always enjoyed working for Jerry. You never knew what you was gonna get into. Anyway, we're telling the story about Dustin here. I'm telling you every little thing, but I'm painting a picture of what's going on. So, Dustin's this happy-go-lucky 6'5", at least 270. He was not a bodybuilder. He was just kind of chubby and just a big guy, big kid, and he was always in a good mood. And the guys were always busting his balls every chance they got. As soon as Dustin would get there, they would be making fun of Dustin's about being not very smart. Now, Dustin, I will say, actually had a pretty good job. He worked in the tool and die department down there, and he might have not been super intelligent, but he was a smart guy. He was just naive because he's only 24 years old, and very naive stuff. And he would just get in there, and these boys would just rip him to shreds. They're like, oh yeah, they were all over him, man. Every time he turned around, they was up his butt about him being a dumbass. But he would give it right back to him. So don't think like the guys are just picking on him. because that's not how it went. He picked right back, and they just went at it all the time. I didn't really get into all that because once again, I wasn't the smartest kid growing up, and I can remember being 8th grade and having to go to 4th grade to do my reading because I was on a 4th grade reading level. And that was because I had dyslexia. And having dyslexia in the South in the 90s and 80s, you got no help whatsoever. They didn't know about that really. So if you had any kind of problems whatsoever, they just called you remedial, and you're not very smart. So luckily, I did get to Vonore, and I had a teacher who had dyslexia also, and he noticed the signs of me when I wrote backwards. So he would notice that, and he knew what my problem was, and he pulled me up to a high school level. I had one of the hugest jumps in reading, and I can remember they come in and tested me my senior year, and they were shocked that by my senior year that I'd already got up to like a junior level, and that was all because of one teacher, and he wasn't even an English teacher. He was a math teacher, but he pulled me up because he seen the signs, and he taught me when this happens, do this. And, he helped pull me back up. So thank you, and God bless you, Mr. White. I really appreciate you for all your help, even though I'm sure I was a fight. But anyway, back to the story. All right. So Dustin, pretty much a happy-go-lucky. They were going at it all the time and ribbing him all the time. They ribbed him every single day, like brutal. But he always came back at them and ribbed them right back. No problems whatsoever. As far as that goes, he gave it back as good as he took. Now, it's quiet night here, believe it or not. It's like the cicadas ain't real bad right now. I do got my device back on. I figured that, in case Linda wanted to interrupt, she could. All right. So this one particular day, they've rode Dustin all the time anyway. And this one particular day, Dustin don't show up for work. Now, not really that big deal. We're thinking Dustin's a 24-year-old. He does have another friend that works there, and they go out drinking a lot and working on. They're like car guys. Dustin was a car guy. He always had always had like a drag car working on. He always had a car they were working on. That was his thing. Dustin's 12 o'clock. He don't show up that day, and we just figure he's been out drinking all night with his friend because neither one of them showed up. And then his friend calls into work and says that he's not coming in because Dustin killed himself last night. Now, everybody's kind of in shock because Dustin was such a happy-go-lucky person. Now, Dustin, of course, went to a rest stop. Now, I don't know the phenomenon of why rest stops have been so popular with people killing themselves, but here's another one, another rest stop. Somebody stopped at and decided they were going to kill themselves. So Dustin had took a 357, put it in his mouth, and blew his brains out. Of course, that's going to be a closed casket because a 357 close range, you can imagine, what that would be like. All right, everybody's pretty much in shock. We can't believe that Dustin has killed himself. Everybody's pretty much shocked. They're like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? What was going on with his life? He did leave a note for his mama. Tells his mama that he's sorry for basically doing what he did. He's like, I know what I did was the worst thing I could do, and I'm sorry, but I can't go on living. Now, I will say, I talked to Dustin a little bit, and I will say about 2 months before Dustin did this, he was telling me that he was trying to, because I was always a fitness guy. I was always working out and always a fitness guy. I'm a fat old man now. I'm 52, and I'm not in the shape that I once was, but I'm still for a 52-year-old, I can still bench over 315. So I'm still stout as can be. I've just not got the body that I used to. Now I could definitely, if I wanted to diet down, I could trim myself up pretty fast. I can get into shape usually in 3 months. well, that takes some motivations. And I ain't had the motivation. This YouTube stuff has come along, and that's kind of what I've been doing. But Dustin had told me, he was like, he started taking Prozac. Now, I believe that he also was taking antidepressants. Now, he was taking the Prozac because he heard he could lose weight. And he was going to use that to help lose weight, because he heard a side effect of that is you could lose weight. But if you listen to all the side effects on these drugs, most all of them may have suicidal tendencies. That's one of the side effects. So once you start taking those antidepressants and stuff like that, it is not good for you. I believe that you're better off trying to work through your own problems than to try to be using antidepressants. But I don't know that. I'm just telling you my own personal opinion, and I think that had something to do with it, but I don't know what was going on in his life. I know myself, I went through a divorce that I was married for 25 years, and I wanted to commit suicide myself, and I'm glad I didn't. Very glad I didn't, but still, you go through some horrible mental states, and that was one of the worst ones of my life. And Kiki had got pregnant with Matthias, and I was worried that if I did something stupid that she might lose that baby. And things got better anyway. I mean, my life is just, I keep getting blessed by God, and just blessed one right after another, and I don't even know why. Why do I get blessed? Why is, I'm not going to be like, oh, I mean, I don't give him credit for all the bad stuff that happens in my life. Has stuff that happened to me. So maybe this stuff is, the good stuff is just putting myself in the right spot. And, maybe I don't need to give credit to anybody for anything. Maybe that's just how life is. You take your good with your bad. But anyway, so I think Dustin with these antidepressants is what triggered him and caused him that. But I don't know what was going on in his life. He could have definitely, I never known him to date, and I always kind of questioned that he might be gay even, but I didn't know that for sure because I'd never seen him with a girl. All I ever seen him with his friend, and all they did was talk about cars for daylight to dawn. But his friend was married, so that's probably nothing. I mean, that I don't know. I'm not going to be talking bad about somebody that's passed on. He's just a really good dude. But they had a big, his family come in, and they had a big dinner and everything like that. And they just wanted to see where Dustin worked at and all that. And it's crazy how 24-year-old get that kind of mind state. I still think once again, it goes back to that rest stop. Why is it so popular now for people to commit suicide at a rest stop? I don't know. I did a whole episode at a rest stop, and I thought, I'm going to do this one at a, nobody ever found out why Dustin did it. Nobody knows. His family don't know. I mean, he left a note, but he just apologized for what he did. And so he did bad. But that guy probably married now with 3 kids, to be honest. And I figured, like I said, I would come over here and do this episode about Dustin and talk about Dustin's life and just talk about him for a little bit. And talk about the people committing suicides over on the rest stops. And that phenomenon that's going on, you can see sometimes in, like Japan has that forest that people go to commit suicide. And that's like a big thing in Japan. So people go all the time there and do that sort of thing. And here in the United States, the most popular place for that kind of thing to go on is rest stops. Now, I don't know why that phenomenon has happened and what makes rest stop the place you want to go and end it all. But try to get help. And remember, things do get better. Anything you're going through, you've lost a kid, you've lost your job, life's pretty bleak, things will get better. And you just got to hang in there and keep up the fighting. I mean, You just got to keep the fight. Don't give a hoo. What we got in there? I don't know what that was, but I heard a sound, and we're not talking about Linda, so I don't know if what that was. It could be a critter. I know the YouTube channel, oh my gosh, I always said that thinks it might be a squirrel. Guys, there's really not much nocturnal squirrels. I mean, maybe a rat, you could say that, but anyway, thank you guys for coming out and watching the episode. I just threw this one together. I've done one at the stop, and then I did one at the castle. And I think I'm going to just stick with the one at the castle because, I mean, we're here with Linda, and we're in Linda's spot. And I figured this one would be just as good here as them doing it there. So this is one we're going with. I think this one will be better. I will watch both of them, and I'll put on which one ever I think it turned out the best. And hey, thank you guys, and thanks for sticking with me for another episode. I'm not sure which episode this is, but I will label it when I go back through and check them. And thank you guys, and God bless.